All right, everybody, welcome to PowerPoint Lesson 2, where we're going to take a look at some more advanced features of PowerPoint. So with this assignment, you're going to be creating a comic scene, and it's going to run seamlessly, which means that when someone watches this, they're not going to need to go ahead and click through each slide. So in order to make that happen, remember you're going to want a title slide. I've entitled my comic Fido and Fluffy. And you can see over here on the side that I have a few different slides. I happen to put just a picture of the background of the inside of a house. Um, I would recommend that you use multiple slides. It'll make it easier than having multiple animations on just one slide. It just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner to work with. So first off, what we're going to want to do is we're going to insert my characters here. So I had already downloaded a couple of pictures here. I have Fido, which of course, if you notice my back wall, you're going to see Sully, my golden retriever, so we have to have a golden retriever. And then I'm also going to insert Fluffy, which I'm not opposed to cats, but they're not necessarily my favorite. I'm more of a dog person, but we're going to have Fido and Fluffy here. So you want to insert your pictures. You need to have a minimum of 2 characters to work with. So I have Fido and Fluffy. And then we're going to want to add some animations so that they can create some movement. So you want to go up to your animations tab at the top of your screen. And I would recommend that you open your animation pane, which is going to put a little pane over on the right-hand side of your screen. And what this is going to allow us to do is to kind of have some control over how the animations are going to play out. So I'm going to say that I'm going to have Fluffy kind of over here sitting on the chair, and then I want to have Fido come flying in. So notice over on your animations up at the top, you have different entrances. You can have emphasis, and you can also have exit. And they also, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can kind of make your own motion paths. So like, for example, if I wanted to do a custom path for Fido, what I would do is I can kind of draw, and maybe I wanted to kind of bounce all over the place here and land up on the couch. So what that's going to look like here, oh, I got to double click to get it to come off. So there, you can see it kind of bounces all over the place. And if you know, are not happy with that, you can just delete the animation and always retry. So it's completely up to you. But for this sake, I'm just going to have Fido here kind of fly in. And notice that off to the kind of right-hand side of your animations, you have the option to do some different effects. So you can choose which way the picture is going to come in. So I'm going to choose that it's going to come in from the right here. And so you can see over here on my animation pane that this is my first animation that I added to that picture. So I have a little bit of movement here. One of the other requirements for this comic is to have some callouts. So obviously we have to have them saying something. So we're going to go over to our Insert tab and then click on Shapes under the Illustrations. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there are some animated callouts. So I'm going to use this one that's called the oval cutout. And I'm going to kind of just paste, click and drag so it pops up above Fido's head. And the neat thing about these is you can just type right in there. So I'm going to say, hey, Fluffy. And you can always change the color of these if you want to. If you want to leave them as is, that's completely up to you. But you have that option to kind of change it. You could also make the text a little bit bigger. Remember that we want to make sure that our audience can read it. So Get it nice and big and easy to see there. And then I'm going to put over Fluffy's head here. I'm going to go to shapes, back down to my callouts, and I like this one. It's the little like thinking one, so it's kind of cute. I'm going to say maybe if I ignore him, he'll forget I'm here, dot, dot, dot. Okay, so we have our callouts. Now, the one thing I kind of want to show you is if we were to go and kind of put this in slideshow mode right now, you're going to see that Fluffy, or Fido, excuse me, hasn't entered the scene yet, but my callout is already here. So we're going to need to apply some animations to our callouts because we don't want this sitting here and then having Fido fly in. So I'm going to exit screen mode here, and instead what I'm going to do is add some animations to our callouts. So remember that in order to apply an animation, you have to be either clicked on the callout or clicked on the picture. So I'm going to click on my animation here, or my callout, excuse me. I'm going to go to animations, and all I'm going to have it do here is just pop up and appear. So you're going to see that that kind of pops up over here. And you also notice that you get little 1s and 2s in case you start to forget which animation has been applied to where. And I'm going to add another little appear here on Fluffy's callout. So now what I have here is the picture of Fido flying in, and then the callout appears and the other callout appears. So if I look at this in my slideshow mode again, we're going to see that Fluffy's sitting there, Fido comes in, and the callouts pop up. Now, if I continued on, this is why I say sometimes it's a good idea to have multiple slides, because that's just going to help so that we don't have to add on extra animations. But you can always do that. So I'm going to show you how. It's quite simple, actually. So let's say that we wanted to have a few more callouts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, my Hey Fluffy, and I am going to go to Add Animation, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to choose the Disappear option. So what this does here is it doesn't eliminate this callout, but you can see that it adds the red, remember, is to remove. So now what that looks like when I do my slideshow mode is here comes Fido, callout, and the callout goes away. So that again is under that Add Animation button. And again, remember, you just have to be clicked on it in order to continue to add animations to that callout or that picture. And so that is kind of how you're going to add animations, and then you're just going to want to keep going. So remember that part of this comic is that you want to try to develop a storyline that's easy to follow. I should be able, when I watch it, it should make some sort of sense. So I could continue to do this, and maybe I want to get Fido to try to play with Fluffy, and Fluffy just is ignoring him and ignoring him, and something along those lines, so that there is some sort of a story happening here. So that's how you're going to do that. The last part of this presentation is we want to make sure that when we do this, when we do the slideshow mode, that it's going to run by itself. Because right now what I have to do is I have to click on my mouse and make each animation appear, and that's not really a comic. So we want it to run smoothly. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to go up to our slideshow button, and you want to make sure that you're clicked on slide 1 because that's where it's going to start from. And then we're going to have our rehearsed timings button. So the thing you have to remember about this, and you can always go through and do it multiple times, but what's going to happen here is it's going to start your presentation running automatically. And what you're going to do is you're going to click your mouse to set the tempo for your comic. Now, one thing you want to make sure you remember is to make sure that people have enough time to read your callouts. Don't rush through it because then people aren't going to be able to read what's happening. So I'll show you here what this looks like. So I'm going to hit my rehearse timings, and this pops up. So give people enough time to read Fido and Fluffy by Mrs. Thealgis, and then I click my mouse, and it goes to this scene. Then I click my mouse again, and Fido comes in. Up pops my callout. I click my mouse again, up pops my callout, and it continues on. And you click until this pops up and it says, right now your slideshow is 22 seconds. Remember that your comic has to be 1 minute and 30 seconds long. So if I say yes, I'm happy with this. Now what happens is if you were to go to view and go to slide sorter, you're going to see exactly how many seconds each slide is. And obviously I hadn't put anything on those, so they're going to go pretty fast. But watch what happens now when you hit your slideshow view. I know you can't see this, but I'm not going to be touching my mouse at all or clicking through. What happens is it just runs on its own. So this is what we want to happen. Just going to take a second here. And so my hands are off the keyboard. I'm not touching my mouse. And it's running so that I can just view your comic this way. And it's done, and the end. So that's what we're hoping to have happen by the time that you are all said and done. Remember that if you miss something during this instructions, you can always go back and watch this video. It'll be up on Google Classroom. And so you just want to make sure that when you're going through this assignment that one, you remember it should be 1 minute and 30 seconds long. Make sure you have 2 characters. You should have animations on both your characters, and you should have animations on your callouts. Remember, the callouts are kind of the talking of the comic. You should have some background pictures or a shape in there so that there's something going on. It's not just a white background. And then you want to make sure you have rehearsed timings so that that should be 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And then, of course, you always get points for creativity and quality. Make sure that you save it as a PowerPoint, and then you're going to want to turn it in using Google Classroom. And you always get some extra credit points if you do any of the following here. So good luck on your comics. I can't wait to see them. And that should be it.